folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you? All right. Who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Yeah, I've been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay. Drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just shit. Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car. And the other one.
It's truly for the win.
That I was given to. So there was 2 different discs. Okay? They all knew about it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
I-Speed noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
This November 29th, 4 people that were murdered.
Rolling with the best. Welcome again. This is exclusive footage from yours truly, Home Team Productions. -2 right there. You can see it on the sign. Look at that. -2. Again, we are down in the heart of it all. Moscow, downtown. We're going to be coming up. Woo. We're going to be making a left here onto, what street are we on here? Asbury. This is where they said they had, down over here is where they said they had the dog sniffers down around this area. When they said that there was nothing going on that morning and it was just a chill morning. That ain't true. They went and got a canine dog that morning. So I guess having canine dogs out is a normal morning for them. So, but want to make sure that that gets talked about. Right now, the time frame that we're at is 10:41 a.m. And this is about the time that those dogs were out and about, okay? And down around here. See the Cafe Day Vape right there? That's where that was the interview that Bryan Kohberger had. Go ahead. So, would love to see yeah, that's Patty's. That's where all the kids would go and have those margaritas and sit outside. So a lot of the iconic pictures at Patty's right there, that's where the girls, especially Maddie, they took their pictures there. That's the Patty's Mexican restaurant right back there. And now this is Deacon Ave. This is where you're going to find some of the addresses of, yeah, this is Bryce M. Pittman Center. Bruce. The Vandal Catholic Church? Oh, nice. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're talking here. Vandal store. I'm gonna go in there, get myself a hoodie. Say noise complaints. Here we are. Woo. Okay, so here we are. There it is. Hi-Fi right there on the corner of Idaho Ave and Deacon. So a lot of phone calls coming up out of there. There it is. That's the house that Maddie ended up joining, as well as Dylan, as well as Xana. There it is. There she blows. Parking is in the rear. All right. So again, right here is one of your fraternity houses. What is that, AE? That's a nice little house there. Pumping in some money on that puppy. Oh, Kippy Dome, if you go right, is the Kippy Dome over here. This incline here. The presidents, we're gonna sweep back around, but right there, this is like Greek row up in this B, but this is Taylor. We are approaching Taylor. Linda Lane up in this motherfucker. Linda Lane, where you at? Linda Lane, baby, right there. Banfield. Look at this open area. You guys, it is, trust me, it looks like it's this huge, huge area. It is not huge at all. This is tiny. This back right here, the back of Sigma Chi, okay? Inside that's why I showed it before I left. Inside that little, corridor is where that green space is. This is literally just steps. Literally steps you take. I will get out and walk it to come and turn and walk straight up here, okay? Where this is literally, this looks like it's such a long path. It is so friggin' short. It is so, it seems long. The depth perception of this, no, absolutely no way. Yep, you guys know all the infamous houses right there. Okay, then that's the steepest thing to go up right there. So tight, so tight. It is so friggin' tight, guys. All right, and then right here at this crazy incline. Okay, I'm gonna get out. It is so tight. It is so tiny right there. Yep, I'm good. Let me out. This is the tightest. This is like so tight. All right. But the incline, remember how JLR was talking about? These are the stairs I'm talking about right here. All right. These stairs, take a look at this. These stairs to go right up in the middle of Queen. These apartments right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at how you are seriously at the doorstep. Okay. Meow. Right here. This is where, okay. Hear that dog bark? Hear that dog bark? Look it. That's the house.
I know, it's so tiny.
It is tiny. You are on top of everybody. Those steps right there. These steps right here would calculate on your data as walking up a set of stairs. This is where a guy was standing, literally. And then again, over there, there's a dog that's in this apartment building right here. There's a dog in there. You heard him bark. You heard the dog bark. But you walk through here.
All right, guys, welcome to the transparency. Wanted to remind everybody about that beginning portion there. Do not forget, straight out of the PCA, we're talking about dogs barking. We're talking about thuds. We're talking about noises. We're talking about health data. We're talking about flights of stairs. We're talking about steps. And so they could demolish the house, but they couldn't demolish the whole area. So again, welcome. We have a new home where we can get the truth, because the only way that the victims get justice and accountability is by the truth. And so Ada County, Boise, Idaho will be the home where the trial for the Idaho 4 student murders, University of Idaho murders from 2022, is scheduled to still be on target for June of 2025. The judge has been named, and the new judge is Ada County District Judge Stephen Hippler, Hippler. Stephen Hippler, Judge Hippler here, will oversee the University of Idaho student murder trial. It is official.
On a telephone call. It really concerns me, and that's why I did what I did that Friday. Now I'm being accused of violating a due process, which is a whole big issue for me.
I can understand that that would not be taken. I have to represent my client to the best of my ability. And the reason for that, Your Honor, with all due respect, I was shocked to see the court issue an order within hours of the state filing a motion late on a Friday without giving us a chance to be heard. And that's going to delve into our argument on due process. But since it came up and since that feels like the elephant in the room right now, I think maybe we should just go ahead and address that.
Sure.
And that was my motion. And I asked you to set aside the order that you made without having a chance to hear from us, making a decision that now you're locked into. And it was a one-sided decision.
I'm not locked into anything. My order didn't say it was permanent.
Maybe
and I told you that I was going to have a hearing.
Maybe I phrased that very poorly. It's a decision that you already made.
Okay, let's go back. I got the motion at 4:30 on Friday. Now it doesn't even reflect, just when it was filed, because Odyssey has a delay, right? So I get the motion at 4:30 Friday. I get a response from you at 4:45 Friday, right?
I don't know what time you received it, but I filed an objection the minute I could.
Because then you know that about 5 o'clock, that's when I issued that. So I had a half an hour. I read the materials that were attached to the motion that the state filed, and I had very little information. But it seemed like there were some real legitimate concerns about the survey. And obviously, it turns out there are concerns, legitimate concerns about what was done in the survey. So in my order,
clearly there was not legitimate concerns of what was done in the survey. Clearly it was a gaslighting tactic used by the prosecutors to try to do everything possible to keep that trial in Latah County. So much as to accuse the defense of breaking the non-dissemination order. We cannot be, it is not lost on Truth and Transparency. It is not lost on the defendant. It is not lost on Truth and Transparency of the tactics that Moscow, Idaho, Latah County prosecutors, special prosecutors the tactics that they were behind. It was do anything and everything possible to keep this trial in Latah County. Why? Because that's the only way that we can ensure a guilty verdict. Well, guess what? Today is a huge, as well as the past 4 or 5 days when it broke. It ain't happening. It ain't happening on Anne Taylor's watch. Anne Taylor is upholding all of our rights, you guys. Anne Taylor and her team fought. They were the ones that brought it. They were the ones that brought the experts. They were the ones that brought the evidence within the data to show that this town, this county is 100% biased. And Bryan Kohberger, you guys want to give his name to a grand jury 6 months late after he's been arrested. That was a biased grand jury as well. Anne Taylor, Bryan Kohberger, and company preserving all of our rights, that we have the right to a fair and impartial trial, and jurors. And you don't put us in suits and ties and skirts and whatever to think that, okay, we did this, so now we get to go and have our trial here. No. But if you guys remember back when Anne Taylor, everybody in all mainstream media was trying to say that Anne Taylor got ridiculed by the judge. But yet the families are saying that Judge was just pro-defense. Do you guys remember this?
I told you that I was going to set a hearing. So I don't know what your understanding is with just the process. Okay, but I, on Friday, sent this hearing. So what are we doing today? Okay, I'm hearing you out. You had notice. I mean, really, that's what we're talking about. That's what the law. What is your understanding of due process?
My understanding is that I should have notice and an opportunity to be heard.
And you did that.
I'm having that now, but there has been a decision made by this court almost 2 weeks ago that stopped us from completing our work. I understand that Mr. Thompson raised a concern, and his last paragraph to the court in his motion was, it seems that it may have violated the non-dissemination order. And so we're stopped from completing our comparative surveys right there when we're up against the deadline to get to our motion to change a venue. I'm looking at it stops me from doing the work and meeting the deadlines to argue for Bryan to be in a place where he can have a fair trial.
Woo! Anne Taylor, fair trial, baby! Thank you for preserving my rights. Do you guys remember the fuckerage that was going on with this case? Do you guys remember Bill Thompson crying, Ashley Jennings doing God knows what, and Anne Taylor being accused of violating the non-dissemination order? They were trying everything to keep this trial in Latah County. Why, guys? Why? And there's only one reason why. Because they know what's coming. The truth train is coming. If Bryan Kohberger is guilty, it's going to come out. But there was 4 people murdered, and I want the truth. I want to know what took place, who murdered them, if there's multiple people, and then I want to know what happened after the killings in terms of an investigation. As a parent, I want to know the truth.
Issued an order stopping us, but set a hearing, shortened time, set it for Monday morning. If the court wanted to set a hearing for that Monday morning, we wouldn't have lost 2 weeks worth of work if the court chooses to let us complete the work.
But that could have been more damage. I mean, this less than 2 weeks really has very, very little impact, okay, on your your work.
It does have an impact, Your Honor.
You don't even have a trial set. Come on.
We have our motion to change venue. We don't have trial. You're right. We don't have trial. My understanding was that we were going to hear the venue change and the court was going to make a decision and then set trial so that we didn't send out a bunch of subpoenas and reserve this courtroom unless we're going to stay here. That was my understanding. My problem, what sets me back, is getting my work complete to get my briefing to the state in the time and the deadline that I was already given and meeting that hearing date that's set.
The only person that knows a damn thing, it seems like, is Anne Taylor. Let us remind ourselves, when you want to talk about the stall taxes, when you want to say why this is taking so long, there was a preliminary hearing that was supposed to happen in June of 2023. The state knew that they could not go and have a preliminary hearing because they would have lost it. Bryan Kohberger would have been set free. Okay. They had to scramble, set up and have Bryan Kohberger be indicted through a secret grand jury after months of publicity, horrible publicity. They then impaneled a grand jury to then indict Bryan Kohberger. All right. So we want to sit here and talk about why is this taking so long and what's going on. It is the tactics of the prosecution. And if mainstream media doesn't want to say it, I don't give a shit. It's the truth. Nobody has been stalling this case more than the prosecution.
Everything else flows. When are we going to set trial?
We wouldn't even be here, okay, if there was some communication between you and the state about the survey.
There are things I can communicate with the state about, and there are things that I cannot communicate with the state about. How I'm preparing my case is not one of those things.
Boom!
It's just not one of those things. I go and see Bill and Ashley. I go to their office every week. Oftentimes we talk. We email each other. We talk to each other. But I don't need their permission every step of the way to prepare my case. Doing these surveys is not an anomaly.
Woo!
This is something that's done in these high-profile cases.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, Mr. Alden did not even see the non-dissemination order.
What?
And you apparently did.
This is what's going on. Bill Thompson gaslit Judge so bad that at the actual change of venue hearing, Judge was like, y'all didn't even put on. Y'all were flipping. You guys were accusing this woman and the people that she hired violating the non-dissemination order, not reading it, not doing this, not doing that. Y'all were accusatory, just like you were accusatory with Bryan Kohberger with nothing, with freaking smoke and mirrors, gaslighting the F out of Judge. While Bill Thompson sits there and Ashley Jennings sit there and Anne Taylor has to stand up and face down Judge and say, hold up, no, nah. Meanwhile, Bill Thompson sits there, Ashley Jennings sits there in this hearing, knowing full throttle the fuckerage that they have been a part of since day motherfucking one.
Did not give that to him. So this is a very not a usual case, number one. And you know that we've been working very, very hard to keep the sort of noise out of the case. And now it's been injected at least to these 400 people without a permission of the court, without discussion with the state. I mean, that's troubles me. And then
that's what he thought.
Directly accused.
That's what he thought. It was troublesome, but then he realized that, wait, no, it's not. It's not troublesome. Anne Taylor's actually doing her job. Bill Thompson literally put, it was like he told Judge that there was a loose shooter on campus in order to have Judge in a tiz whiz when there really was no tiz whiz. What's up, Twiz?
Okay, by you in your brief.
Do you guys think if this was true and accurate of what truly transpired, that the result would be happening what it is, and that it's changed venue, it's going to Ada County, it's in Boise, we have a new judge, and do you think that that's happening because Anne Taylor gaslit Judge? Anne Taylor lied? Anne Taylor did anything wrong? No. It should have been conceded by Bill Thompson that this be moved to ensure that we only do this one time. Instead, Bill Thompson gaslit the judge, he gaslit the Gonsalveses and the other victims' families, and then let the Gonsalveses come out and guess what? Interview people themselves. Interview people themselves that were potential jurors. But this is what was happening because of Bill Thompson's unethical bullshit. Prosecutorial misconduct, if I may.
That I violated his due process rights. Now, that's not what the law says, and that's not what the facts are. And you even cited cases that say exactly what due process is in the law, right?
I understand that, and I agree that's what due process is. My issue is that the order was signed, stopping our work without a chance to be heard. It's as if the state and the court had decided we violated the non-dissemination order, and we didn't.
All I was doing was stalling it, okay, for less than 2 weeks so we could have this here.
All I was doing is stalling it. I am sitting here reminding people when they want to talk about who is stalling, who's doing what. Judge had to stall stuff because of the ridiculousness of the prosecution, because they threw spaghetti at the wall and said, we need to see whatever can possibly stick. If we have to, we're going to accuse Anne Taylor of violating the non-dissemination order. Are you kidding me? The only reason I don't want Backseat Bill to leave the box of the prosecution's little area that they're going to have during trial is so that Anne Taylor can wax the shit out of that ass. Okay? Because not only is he potentially the reason that 4 students that were murdered will not get justice, okay? He would have then been the reason that someone like Anne Taylor would be accused and ridiculed for something that she did not do. Because he wants to lie. He wants to lie.
Here, number one. Now, if you feel like you've been prejudiced or your client has been prejudiced for less than 2 weeks, okay, in this work, I'll push it out. I'll just push out the trial. I mean, not the trial, but the hearing.
And that's exactly what he did.
Is that satisfactory?
Your Honor, I think that might be what we need. I need to figure out if we're going to be able to continue the surveys. But if we are, I expect that we will need some additional time to get them done so that I can get the work to the state to review.
Okay, well, that's a different issue. I never said, no, you can't do a survey. This was...
See how much class Anne Taylor has? If I was Anne Taylor, I would have said, Your Honor, Mr. Thompson and company brought it to your attention or tried to claim X, Y, and Z. Bill Thompson set that whole path in motion. You want to be mad at anybody in this case if you're a family member? Look no further than the prosecution. The prosecution is literally
a total shock to me that Friday at 4:30.
I can understand that. It was a shock to the state.
I had to stall it out, okay?
I had to stall it out.
So that we could all talk about it and figure out what is the right path, okay? Because this is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Very, very seriously. And I was surprised, okay, that this was happening behind our backs, my backs.
Our backs. There we go. Now we can talk about it. Welcome. Welcome to the stage. What is good, everybody? Our backs. This is why it got moved, guys. Of course, Ada County is the new home of the trial now that we can begin a new path here. Okay. But I wanted everybody to be reminded of what truly went on in this case, which was Bill Thompson's lies. Okay. Bill Thompson has been lying. Bill Thompson and his team have been lying. And the law enforcement overseeing this investigation have lied. I have no problem saying that because you know what? Not only is it my opinion, okay, but I am putting all my chips in that the defense is about to show us how bad that document that is known as the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Bryan Kohberger is a lie. And they knew it was a lie. And for anybody to think that they can get away with this in 2024, 2022, you've lost your mind. I was fired up back in 2022 about it. I was fired up before there was an arrest, after there was an arrest, and I am sick. And I'm not going to sit by and say, stop. Stop. Nobody is above the law. Nobody is above the law. But Moscow, Idaho, they made moves, and it was at the hands of Bill Thompson, he had to make the call about the IGG. That's about to come back into play here. He made the calls. Bill Thompson has been leading, literally, the blind leading the blind. Bill Thompson handles, I don't even know what, DUIs, traffic tickets, plea deals every single day. This is not a plea deal, okay? This was supposed to be a preliminary hearing, and why wasn't it? It's because you didn't have the evidence that if it would have been presented at a preliminary hearing, it would have been sniffed out and burned up right in front of the judge's face, and then nothing would have happened, meaning Bryan Kohberger is walking out that door, and we can't have that. So we have to do secret grand jury. Okay, now we indict him on this. The only people that are scared to go to trial are the prosecution. And the only people that continue to ask for things so they can prove what truly happened, okay? Because unfortunately in this day and age, it is not innocent until proven guilty. It's like, hey, you arrested me, now I have to prove myself innocent. And that's not how it should be. But I think that Anne Taylor and company realized that, and that's why they were asking for all of this discovery. 17 supplemental requests of discovery. Does that sound like somebody that's just being so forthcoming and here you go? No, that sounds like somebody's like, you have to find it. And if you find it and you ask me for it, okay, then I have to turn it over. But if you don't ask me for it, then I'm not turning it over. The Franks hearings are coming. That's a suppression hearing. Do you guys remember when they said that everybody thought there was a confidential informant in this case? Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember when they said there's a confidential informant or people thought that? And then we read the work of Jay when it had to do with IGG, and we find out that no, the state wants to try to label all of us that would have been involved in the making of Bryan Kohberger's investigative genealogy tree, that all of those people, those or the confidential informants. Are y'all kidding me? Jen, woo! Jen. Do you guys remember that? You guys remember that, right? You guys remember that, right? When Jay said, you think that you're going to be able to claim, because he wanted to protect him, he wanted to invoke privilege. Bill Thompson wants to invoke privilege. Well, then I started thinking about something. I thought about it and I said, okay, well, how about this? Now, wouldn't this be kind of mad? I've asked you guys this numerous times. If there is no sheath, if that is never able to be seen, and that DNA, if that all gets tossed, okay, what does the prosecution have? And the prosecution has absolutely nothing, right? And they want to say, well, we're not using that. None of that matters. None of that matters. None of that matters. We're not using that. We're not using that. Okay. Well, I'm going to read you guys something. Oh, stop it. Sleuthy, you love my bell. Just because she said it, I had to ring it again. You can ring my bell. I'm going to read you guys something. In a new, God, here we go. Let's see. This is how my brain works. So here we go. Ready? Boop, boop, boop. People have asked me since day one with the investigative genealogy stuff, this. So for me, the question is when do we draw the line? People say to me, oh, well, if you just use it to solve crimes, I mean, come on, Lana, you have to get on board with that. I said, no, I don't. I do not have to get on board with that. Integrity, in my opinion, it builds trust. Okay. Integrity is doing the right thing, whether somebody's watching, okay, or nobody's watching. And law enforcement is picking and choosing when it's okay to commit premeditated crimes. Okay. And then they justify those premeditated crimes by a possibility of an outcome. So their means justified by the outcome, right? A possible outcome. Folks, in my opinion, allowing humans to pick and choose, which is discretion, when bending or, let's be real, breaking the rules is okay, is not integrity. Okay, that's called desperation, and it's dangerous. It creates inconsistency in an area of the world where consistency is so important and truly needed. It's absurd that law enforcement nowadays are starting a case by going to investigative genealogy measures versus letting an actual ground roots investigation take place and let the evidence take you where it takes you. For example, those third-party sites, because of third-party sites, even if I opt out, okay, some idiot is opted in and didn't read the directions or the cautions. And so if they said they really would have opted out, but they didn't read it, anyway, you slice and dice it. Now, my DNA identifiers are connected to that idiot. And now I'm at risk of being, like, my information being shared, things like that. And I'm letting incompetent law enforcement agencies and their agents in the 21st century have my shit. My next example is, let's say it's same with an officer using a loophole to violate the third party's consumer policy. I think that would be like a class action lawsuit, but whatever. How about the state wanting to list all of us on Bryan Kohberger's family tree as confidential informants? They can't be serious, right? Hell to the no, I ain't no snitch, right? I'm not a confidential informant. Fuck you. No, but let's be serious. That's what they just try to do. So let me get this straight. Law enforcement gets to preach to us that the law matters and we must abide by the law. But law enforcement is exempt from those same standards. For example, what if I hacked 23andMe's data and obtained all of the data that 23andMe had? Would that be a crime? Would I be arrested? And the answer is yes, Lana. You know this. Duh, you'd be arrested. Okay, so how is it what the FBI did in the Idaho 4 case? Not the very same thing. They hacked the system by being taught a loophole or hired someone who knew the loophole to be able to obtain all the data. Even the ones that this agency knew were part of the opt-out of law enforcement section of the data. And then this little IGG data stealer, they then get a finder's fee because we paid for the IGG, right? When I say we, somebody did. And then they turn it over to the FBI. They give them this data, and now DNA kits that are matched on some level, revealing names of all those DNA kits. And then the FBI went down and filtered names. Okay. Now explain to me how this isn't the very definition of organized crime. Also, how is it that it's not a financially motivated crime? This was 100% premeditated by the government to violate all of our rights, or at least the ones that were in that data that third parties cite. They didn't accidentally come across a computer glitch to obtain opted out law enforcement kits. It is my opinion, if we want crimes solved, then my solution is we get better personnel for the area of the world, because I believe in good people and they do exist. Go find them, hire them, and pay them. When we have humans with integrity in the roles of positions that oversee technology like this on this type of a level, it helps. But still, crimes are crimes. But this crime done by the government and their officials makes me cringe, because they know better. But that's the other problem, they think. They think that they know what is best for us puny little citizens. And this was one of those times that they thought that it was okay to break the law and violate all of our rights so that the University of Idaho's enrollment doesn't tank. Now, that is a financially motivated crime if I've ever heard of one. So, if the FBI cannot produce a receipt that shows that they did genetic genealogy on the up and up and paid for a law enforcement kit, what should happen to anything that came from anything on that sheath? Do you believe, now check this out, what if in fact Bryan Kohberger's, he actually did it and he went with one of the Jed matches, he put his stuff in there. What if Bryan Kohberger actually did it because he was, say that he did that, okay? Think about this. Then the only way that you were able to make your tree was because you actually had a match to an actual kit that was already there. Which means that you violated Bryan Kohberger's rights, because without that direct match, you don't have anything. So what if the whole time Bryan Kohberger actually does have his DNA in there, but he was in the opted out of law enforcement section? So there would actually be no way possible for you to obtain and have a match like that. Unless you did what? If you want me to, for a second, to believe anything that Bill Thompson has said and done, well, that would be foolish of myself. But if you want me to come out here and endorse his advocacy for these 4 students, that would be even more foolish. Then you mix that with the fact that the FBI was involved in the IGG, and you mix that with the fact that they were then involved in the tracking of the phone and this alleged white car. And at every turn you look at, the FBI was the one that was involved. And if you're about to prove that they have no problem not following the rules and just doing whatever they want, whenever they want, why do you think nobody's turning anything over? Why do you think this is taking so long? Why do you think Bryan Kohberger hasn't taken a plea deal? To save his life, take a plea deal. Because we got you dead to rights. Why do you think Anne Taylor's filing everything publicly? Why do you think Anne Taylor wants public hearings? Why do you think the prosecution wants everything sealed? Why do you think the prosecution objects to anything being public? Why do you think Anne Taylor has to keep requesting over and over and over and over and over discovery supplements? Why do you think Anne Taylor and her team keep saying that they are defending an innocent man? And why do you think they literally did everything possible, even lied on a probable cause affidavit? What is the jury possibly going to hear from the prosecutor's standpoint at trial with this case? Who are you calling to the stand? You're going to call your investigators to the stand, and they're going to talk about what? They did nothing to locate Bryan Kohberger. That's not how this happened. Nobody did anything investigative through the ISP agency or Moscow agency or WSU agency that they were doing investigative anything to track down that this is the man that did this. They were handed a name as a tip, and the name was Bryan Kohberger. What search warrants did you file them? When did you file them? When did they get returned? The inventory on it? When did you go through it? What do these reports say? What was your role in this investigation? What was your role? What was your role? What was your role? Nobody has a motherfucking role in this investigation because there was no investigation. There was no investigation. It was, here's a name, work backwards, and make it fit. And now if you think that's going to fly, I said it, I don't know, 2 years ago that it wasn't going to fly. How'd y'all get to Bryan Kohberger? How did you get to Bryan Kohberger? How'd you get to Bryan Kohberger? How'd you get to Bryan Kohberger? How did you get to Bryan Kohberger? And then what's Anne Taylor been saying since, I don't know, she's been his attorney on repeat? How did you get to Bryan Kohberger? What came first? How'd you get to my client? What came first? When did you hear this? When did you hear that? Oh, I didn't even know that WSU called in that tip about finding this white car and that it was at Septo Apartments until this date. Wait, when did you guys turn in the AT&T warrant? When did you guys do this? Oh, wait. So before, when you got the first warrant back, then you started working on the second one, but you never took the test drive to do and be able to supply actually the truth when you did that second warrant? The only team that anybody should be on is the team of truth. And I believe right now that the defense is trying to get to the truth. And so if I was a parent, I want the truth. And I don't believe the prosecution is trying to go get me the truth. So I want the defense to keep on turning over every stone so that I get the truth. Because my kid was murdered. I don't want, you think I want you to tell me what? No, I want you to show me what happened. I want you to show me everything. I don't want you to tell me a motherfucking thing because I don't believe you. There's nothing that I believe when it comes out of the mouth of that prosecution. Nothing. I want you to show me. I'm from the show me state. Not really, but. So why am I excited that this moved? I told you guys I was biased. I wanted this to stay in Moscow because I had everything already set up there. Okay, but I knew that it needed to move if we wanted to know what happened in this case. This is our best chance at truth for the victims. You're not going to get the truth if you have the trial in Moscow. It's never happening. Okay, and I've never seen a prosecutor and their team act like such fucking babies. That when it actually came down to have a hearing for the change of venue, that they did nothing. It was undisputed evidence that moved it to Boise. Undisputed. Those prosecutors did nothing. You know why? Because it was all bluff. And I think Judge was one pissed off person. Because you guys told me this, that, and the other. You guys are over here accusing Anne Taylor of this, that, and the other. You guys are over here accusing Edelman of this, that, and the other. No. Bill Thompson gaslit the fuck out of Moscow. He gaslit the fuck out of the Gonzalez family. And now he can no longer gaslight a motherfucking person. Even if he takes his happy little backseat ass to Boise. Okay? If you've noticed, Bill Thompson hasn't said much lately, has he? It's because Bill Thompson got put in his place by the Attorney General's office and saying, you need to shut up. You need to shut up. Going at witnesses, expert witnesses, somebody who has no skin in the game and is just simply doing their job. And he uncovered that it was your ass, Bill Thompson, that said go spread that PCA far and wide. It was your ass, Chief Fry, that said 100% this is our guy. We got our guy. Not a single one of you people were even in on the investigation, didn't do anything. And none of you guys used the words alleged ever once. And you guys have been around for how long? Oh, that's right, because it's been the good old boys group over there. And it just seeps through your skin. And I love watching it. That's why I still want you involved, because I want to watch you get your ass handed to you. Ann Taylor's going to hand you that ass on a fucking red platter, Bill. And you know what's going to suck is that if he is truly guilty, the only people that are to blame are the investigators and that bearded man, Bill Thompson. The only people to blame. Because they chose making sure that the university would not drop $1 in enrollment. And then you got that president touring around signing books like a goddamn fool. And if Steve is the alpha, then he should go walk up to Green and say, I want to have some words with you man to man. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Going on a book tour with Chapter 43 and saying that you were in an integral part of this investigation. And we're in the midst of trying to keep a trial in Latah County. That's what a man with some balls does, because that's what I would do for my kid. And trust me, I got tits. I ain't got no balls, though. So if it ever comes to that, I'll be making sure I'm throwing them the fuck around. They got some weight in them, too. Do you know that Bill Thompson was the one that signed off on the IGG being done immediately out the gate? You know why I know it's him? Because it's protocol. Because the prosecutor has to be on board for that. Do you know why John Benet Ramsey's case hasn't had any of that? Because they won't sign off on it. The prosecutor, none of them have ever signed off on that. Read. Reading is a very, very, very good thing. Read the material. Bill Thompson was 100% on board with investigative genealogy being used before interviews were. Before looking at damn surveillance videos, before going out and make sure that we get all the surveillance videos. Interviewing people. Doing old-fashioned police work. He's over here. Yep, use this. Yep, use this. Yep, you do this. He had to sign off on all that. He was 100% involved in all of that. Because that's the DOJ. That's their policy. That the prosecutor has to be on board with that. So I don't want to hear when anybody says to me this, that, or the other. No, you know what? I started with this case. Every day, probably a piece of my life has gone to this case. And if it was my kid, I want the truth. I'm not putting an innocent person to death. Enough people had died. I want to know what happened. I want to know if this could have been prevented. And I want to know that if we put the truth out, that we could possibly save somebody else's life. That's the only way that I would ever, as a parent in that situation, would feel that like, that's the best. That's what we're going to get out of it. But if you think that you're going to get anything like that out of it under the leadership of Bill Thompson, get the fuck up out of here. And for you people to think that you're going to go ahead and have Chief Fry then be your motherfucking sheriff, I don't even know that answer. We don't even know that answer. I would pack my bags tomorrow if that was my sheriff. I don't even know that answer. I keep on hearing mainstream media make little sly remarks when the Gonsalveses are on camera about things that are going on in Bryan Kohberger's like life. And I don't know why they're just so concerned with what Bryan Kohberger is doing when he wakes up in the morning, when he goes to bed, at noon, if he's reading any of his mail or if he's making a phone call. I've never seen somebody be more all about the alleged person and what they're doing more so than what the hell the prosecutors are doing. I want to know what the prosecutors, I don't give a fuck what Bryan Kohberger is doing. I hope he's sitting and spinning. I'm not even giving that man a fucking second of my motherfucking thought. He doesn't get any of my space upstairs, right? But yet here's Ashley Banfield. Here's News Nation. And here the Gonsalves is just talking about what they think Bryan Kohberger is doing in the morning, in the middle of the day, at night, and then all this ridiculousness about fangirls or whatever the fuck is going on. If somebody asked me that in an interview when I'm talking about my child, I think that I would go through the screen and just like lose it. I want to talk about what the prosecution's doing. Somebody got all those people in a room and said, listen, if we don't have a united front, this is never going to work. Okay? Steve, you can't be at odds with the police. Steve, you can't be at odds with the prosecutor. Steve, we all have to be on the same page or otherwise this is not going to work. We will not win. We cannot be divided. And so what they do, they went ahead and they all said, okay, you're not going to call us out anymore. We're not, you have to stop doing that. Well, look at where it's got you. And by the way, Green, your book sucks. Your book is shit. Absolute shit. What up, WB? Woo woo, preacher girl. Oh, Deborah's going to get up 5 people went green. Let me know if you went green. Again, I wanted to keep this right around an hour. Again, Boise, can we get the truth now? Can we all? Here it is. Let's move forward. And everything is just like boop, boop, boop. No more funny business. This isn't like little town, Laytall over there. We're here. We're with the big dogs. Now we can get to the truth. Why you wouldn't want this, Steve and Christy, to be in Boise? You want it there. You want it there. Okay. No more BS from either side, man. You're going to get the truth one way or another. You're going to get it. This is the only place that you'll get it. This is the only place that you will get it. And I will end on this note, and then I will ask if you guys have questions in chat. Again, I put it up there earlier who the new judge is. But I want to show one other thing here. You with the big dog. This is where I would want it. Yeah. Judge did the right thing. Judge said, first of all, Bill Thompson, you're a little bitch. You're a liar. You gaslit the whole time that he's doing something, this, that. They just brought 4 pros and testified, and you guys didn't do anything. You didn't bring anybody to the table, and you didn't even cross-examine. I think 13 questions in cross-examination. And it's what you call an undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Undisputed. The prosecution did nothing. Nothing. Why? Why did they do nothing? Well, if that's any indication of what's going to happen in this trial, whew. I mean, but I think that's what we need.
I have a histrionic about it, but is it panic mode or is this par for the course?
Par for the course, actually. The lawyers are doing their jobs. At first, they said, we're going to waive our speedy trial and we need more time. And now they're invoking speedy trial. Now they're saying, we want to rush it to force prosecutors to go to trial. And by the way, since we're rushing it, we can't do it in time. So you got to take the death penalty off the table. It's like, hold on, my head's spinning. You're like, they're saying they need more time, but yet we want a speedy trial. So they're trying everything and anything, and it's not going to work. Idaho's a conservative state. They even have the firing squad as an option if the drugs aren't available to put someone to death.
I just had
this
to.
case is going to stay a capital punishment case. Judge is going to give it the green light. And the thing is, it's not going to trial for another 10 months. So we're talking about at least 3 years since the murders till the trial. That seems like a lot of time to prepare to me.
So,
Ashley, can you please get people that know what the fuck is going on in the case? Again, just showing you another time where people don't know what's going on. Had to play that again. And here we go. Let's see. What's this?
If you get exposed to publicity, you're more likely to render a judgment of guilt.
It's time to put your foot down and say, okay, the way you've been doing it isn't working. I'm not going to risk my daughter's life over, you guys playing little games of not cross-examining and not doing the extra mile.
A bombshell ruling in the Bryan Kohberger case. The judge not only deciding the case will be moved out of Moscow, Idaho, but also the judge indicating he wants off the case altogether. I'll break it down and get reaction from one of the victims' families.
First of all, when they say Judge wanted off the case, I'm not going to let mainstream media do that to Judge, okay? To try to help anybody's families here. Okay. Judge didn't say, I want off the case. That is not true. All right. Judge ruled on a motion that was, this needs to move. And you toss it up to the Idaho Supreme Court. And it's already been determined very, very quickly. Wow, imagine that. We're going to Boise. We're going to go to Ada County. And we have a new judge. Judge didn't say, oh my God, I can't do this. Okay? So I want to make that very motherfucking clear. Judge, go read his decision. That was like, it was like music to my ears to see when I'm reading out loud and I'm hearing, oh my God, the common sense coming out of this piece of paper right here. Ridiculous that they're going to do this and make it and say that that is not true.
In the special News Nation and Long Crime collaboration of Enton Across America. Hey everybody, this is Bryan. I'm actually doing this podcast from the airport. Sorry if it's a little noisy. There's some background music playing, but I wanted to get this on with the developments with Idaho. I was actually in Idaho recently. Now I'm flying out. I'm going to Pennsylvania. I've been working on an Ellen Greenberg story. If you don't know that one, you can go back and see I did a podcast on that. I'll have developments on that case.
Rollins along with Julia Janae. We do have some breaking news to tell you about. The trial out there in Idaho for Bryan Kohberger. The judge has granted the defense motion for a change of venue. So a big development there in that case out of Idaho.
Absolutely. The defense has been trying to get it out of Latah County, there where those 4 University of Idaho students were tragically killed inside of that off-campus apartment. And they've wanted to get it to a bigger county, Ada County, where Boise, Idaho, the capital of the state is. And now we are getting word into our Court TV newsroom that the judge is agreeing to let that change of venue happen. So this could really change how things unfold, especially for jury selection in this case.
We just got into our newsroom a copy of the judge's decision. So it's pretty long. We were taking a look at it. It went through all the details that are known so far in this case. And he really talked about the totality of the circumstances here. And that is exactly why he decided to grant this motion to change venue. I think we're going to bring in our guest now, Julia.
Yeah, let's bring in criminal defense attorney Joseph Tully, who is standing by. Joseph, we've been watching this case from the very beginning, and there was a question of whether the judge would grant this. It can be rare for a change of venue to be approved by a judge. Your thoughts on the judge's decision in this case?
Well, you're absolutely correct. It is incredibly, incredibly rare for a judge to grant a change of venue. It's a very complicated motion, very time-consuming, and you have to hire experts that bring in statistics, analyze media. Obviously, this is going to be an unpopular decision for a judge to take the sense of justice away from a community to try their own case. However, I think that the judge made the right call. These crimes were so heinous and so well covered on the media that even if there was if there was a conviction in the case in that town, there really would have been a big chance for an appeal to win based on that the trial was not fair. And so I think the judge made the right call by being able to move the case. And
all right, guys, we'll see you on the flip side.
I'm Ted Williams, Fox
Very
News.
simple. This should be happening.
You all have said that these killings are targeted.
That's the beginning.
Can you share with us why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings? Why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings? Why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings?
We stated earlier in the previous press release, our press conference, we believe they're targeted because we take a totality of all the circumstances that we're looking at. Do we know any one person that it was targeted? We're not able to say at this point in time due to our investigation, but we still believe that. But like I said, we take a totality of everything that we're looking at.